Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video here on the Sports Daily Media Network YouTube channel. I'm Sean Vowells. Joe Meade is with me, and tonight we are amending our college football playoff projections. On the screen, you can see those were our Week 2 projections, and there on the right are blank spots for 1 through 12 this time around. So, Joe, let's start in the group of 5 like we did last week. UNLV is undefeated. We had a couple fireworks with some other group of 5 contenders. Leaving UNLV there, or are you going for someone else?
I'm going to leave UNLV there. I think the fad thing to do is pick USF. And if they beat Miami, I'll be forced to put them in, but I don't see that happening. I give USF a lot of credit. I think Memphis could be another team to look out for, as Tulane, like you said last week, but I'm sticking with the Running Rebels for now.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Tulane, too. Very impressed by USF. I think the American Conference is going to be like a really good league. You know, Navy is there, Memphis is there, USF is there. But the reason why I'm going with Tulane right now is South Florida has to play on the road at Navy and at Memphis. And if they lose to Miami and that one, I'm not sure that they can get in with 2 losses. First of all, they might not even get into the American Championship game, and then they might not get into the playoff with 2 losses. So I'm sticking with Tulane too. But yeah, there's probably 5 or 6 contenders right now for that last spot. All right, Joe. Well, my Big 12 champion lost this week. You have 2 Big 12 teams in the top 12 that won. So, assuming Iowa State is still your Big 12 champion, where do they go?
They actually go to 11, Sean. They really did not impress me too much. I'm not. They didn't impress me, but I don't want to overreact either. This rivalry with Iowa. I account the rivalry factor and the fact Matt Campbell's had very little historic success against Kirk Ferentz. So I'm gonna put the Cyclones at 11. I think they're still going to win the Big 12, but I think they're gonna slip up a few times on their way there. So give me the Cyclones at 11.
Yep, Iowa State becomes my Big 12 champion after Arizona State lost in Starkville. They will be 1 spot higher in 10th. All right, Joe. We've got a couple of teams at the top that played and did not, or the top 4 of my list all played, or top 4 of your list as well, all played bye games. So will you be jumbling around the top of your order, or will you be sticking with the same?
Some slight changes. I'll have the LSU Tigers still in first. They didn't really
Okay.
do anything against an inferior opponent to prove otherwise. Uh, should I go 2 through 4 as well,
Well,
Sean?
I'll go LSU too, and we can go back and forth. I've got
Got it.
LSU staying in 3rd. I
Mhm.
think the SEC race is going to be pretty fascinating. There's plenty of teams on here that will be in, um, but really, really interesting to see how that goes down. In terms of Ohio State and Penn State, Joe, 1 and 2 for me, 2 and 5 for you. Where will they be slotting in?
I got Ohio State in second, and I'm moving Penn State up to number 3.
All right, that is um, pretty similar to mine. That's whoops, put Penn State in there, or Ohio State in there twice. Sorry. So 2-3 Ohio State, Penn State for Joe, and we have got whoops, doing this on the fly. 1 and 2 for me. So I go Ohio State, Penn State, LSU. Joe goes LSU, Ohio State, Penn State. Didn't really learn a ton from them in week 2. Plenty on the horizon for them. All right, Joe, let's go down the list. You had Texas in ninth. I had them in 4th. They beat UL Monroe by a million. Assuming they're still in your rankings, where do they slot in?
They stay at ninth, Sean, and at the end of the day, kind of like why I have LSU at 1. They have the best win in college football so far. Texas probably has the best loss in college football so far, but again, they got to prove more to move up there. They're ninth.
All right, they are going to stay in. They're actually going to go down to 5th for me, just 1 spot. Arch Manning looked better, but it's UL Monroe. They're gonna you better look good against them. or you're in pretty deep trouble. All right, let's go down now. Georgia also from the SEC in both of our rankings, Joe. The third spot of yours is occupied, so they have to be moving down, and they will be moving down one spot for me as well. So Georgia to sixth for me.
They're at fourth, and I'll put it to you this way, Sean. There were a lot of haters in the comments last week that said some very mean things about LSU ranking being ranked number one. Georgia has the opportunity to move up quite a lot, perhaps over Penn State, should they win in Knoxville.
Yeah, that'll be a big game for the Bulldogs. Okay, let's go to Florida for Miami. Won that big game against Notre Dame at home. Where are they slotting in for you, Joe?
I got the U in fifth. I think this USF win could be a very quality win for the resume as well. I don't know if that'll move them up, but depending on some movement with Georgia, very possible.
All right, they're actually going to be fourth for me. Georgia's actually seventh for me, not sixth. So slide them down one. Miami into fourth. Georgia into seventh. So 6, 8, 9, and 11 are left for me. 6, 7, 8, and 10 are left for Joe. Joe, why don't you go with your first team to fill it in?
With six, I got the Oregon Ducks. I think their offense, as we say in our Big Ten cast, is a lot more explosive. I know Oklahoma State's not great, but to score 69 points on a Power Four opponent and to have zero trouble doing it, if they wanted to score 70, I bet they probably wouldn't have been denied. So give me Oregon at sixth, and in a few weeks they'll have a few chances to prove to move even higher up that ladder.
Yeah, they'll be in sixth for me as well, Joe. Um, all those things about Oregon, we've sort of had them in the end of our rankings here. The couple times we've done it, yeah, they'll probably make it. They're a good team, but are they elite? I think they might be a little more elite than we initially thought. Still don't know if they're coming close to the top two in the Big Ten, but as of right now, it's pretty clear that they're sort of alone in third
I agree.
at this point. Okay, we have got three more spots left. Joe, where you going next?
So seventh, did we talk about Clemson yet?
We did not. No, let's go
Okay,
with
at
Clemson.
seven, I have the Clemson Tigers. Did not look good at all in these first two games. The only reason I'm putting them in seventh, Sean, is that roster is way too talented to be bad. I'm not saying they're guaranteed in the playoff. What I'll say is, if that roster doesn't win at least 9 or 10 games, shame on them.
Yeah, I, I can see this year going a lot like last year for Clemson, where they sort of get their asses kicked early. They have to reevaluate and they start to build some confidence against some of the mid teams in the ACC. They do have a couple of tough games. They do play Miami. They do host Florida State, which is big for them. SMU isn't as good as we thought, so I do think that they still win the ACC, even though they're probably not as good of a team as Miami. And at the end of it, they do have South Carolina too. So with the games on Clemson's schedule, they can afford another loss for sure and still be in. I have them in eighth. I just think that what they're showing us right now is not what they actually are. And is that fair to assume? I mean, probably with what they've done in the past. So eighth, Clemson for me. All right, Joe, we've got two spots left each, and this is where I'm going to get a little interesting. I'm going to go to the SEC for my ninth pick. And this is a team that I don't know if they're actually a top 10 team in the country, but their offense is really explosive, and they have the schedule to go 11-1, 10-2. And that's Missouri. Bo Perbula in Missouri, they win the border war.
Whoa.
42 points against Kansas. It just is kind of lining up for them to be like the 15th, 16th best team in the country and to get in because of their schedule. Obviously, the SEC is hard. Still a hard schedule, but it's on the easier side of things in the SEC. I'm going to go with Missouri ninth in my college football playoff.
And in the 10 slot for me, Sean. Oh, sorry, the 8 slot. I'm sorry. That's
Yep.
the next one open. I got the Utah Utes. I still think they're really good. I think they're going to have to prove it against someone to move up. But give me Utah. I think they're not going to win the Big 12, but I think they might have the most wins in the Big 12, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so let's switch around the colors here for Utah. All right, yep, Utah eighth for Joe. They're just missing out for me. They did come into consideration for my auto spot in the Big 12, um, but based like there's a lot of okay teams in the Big 12, so I just don't know if two can make it. I think like last year, all of them had three losses, except for Arizona State because they are all good enough to beat each other, but not good enough to sort of separate from the pack. So I think it is possible for them to get two. And if they're at this point, if the top two in the Big 12 are those two teams, in my opinion, but I'm leaving Utah out. All right, one spot left for the both of us, Joe. And I'm actually going to bring a team in. Oh, actually, no, sorry. Staying in the SEC, South Carolina drops to 11 for me. Talked about it a couple times. They played South Carolina State. Their story doesn't really change this week. They've got a crazy tough schedule, but they're a good football team, and Beamer ball is fun to watch. So I think they just get in. So
Okay,
who's your
Sean,
last spot?
I'm gonna stick with the Huskies of Washington, kind of my surprise pick. I'm not gonna go away from them. I was criticized in Norman by my friend Jasper, who is a Michigan alum but grew up a UW Husky fan, saying their O line did not look great week one. I tend to agree, but I still think that combo of that trio, Boston, Damon, and Jonah Coleman's going to be a massive problem, and I think they do, believe it or not, have a workable schedule. I do think they could upset one of the three or four teams that they're not favored to beat, maybe even two of the four, which will get them in at 10-2.
Yeah, that there is room for a fourth Big Ten spot, Joe. Whether it's a team that we expect to be ranked, Illinois, Indiana, or whether it's a team that's Nebraska, Washington, I think there is room for a fourth Big Ten team. We'll keep doing this every week. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That is our updated college football playoff projections until next week, until more games happen, and then we will change them again. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.